The Christmas lights blinked softly, red, then green-red again. I stood in the living room, staring at the same tree I had seen every year since childhood. Nothing had changed. The ornaments were old, slightly faded. The angel on top leaned a little to the left, just like always. And my family? They hadn't changed either. "Sarah, have you updated your resume?" My mother's voice came from the kitchen. Calm, but layered with something deeper. Concern mixed with quiet disappointment. I didn't turn around. I simply picked up a silver ornament and hung it carefully on a low branch. "I'm not looking for a job, Mom." There was a pause. Then footsteps. She walked in, holding a tray of freshly baked cookies. The same sugar cookies she made every Christmas, shaped like stars and trees. "Well, you should be." Her tone was firmer now. "You can't keep drifting like this. You're almost 30. Almost 30. I exhaled slowly. "I know how old I am." My father lowered his newspaper, adjusting his glasses as he looked at me. "Your mother is right," he said, folding the paper neatly. "It's time to settle down. A stable job. Something reliable." He paused, then added, "Didn't your cousin arrange an interview for you at her insurance company?" I didn't go. That answer landed heavily in the room. "Exactly the problem," he replied. "You don't get to be picky when you don't have stability." Before I could respond, the door opened. Cold air rushed in, along with my older brother, Michael. He brushed snow off his coat, stepping inside with the confidence of someone who had everything figured out. Behind him were his wife, Jennifer, and their 2 kids. Michael was everything my parents admired. Successful, respected, predictable. A dentist with his own practice. The perfect son. "What's the topic this time?" he asked casually, grabbing a cookie. Still trying to figure out what Sarah actually does. I forced a small smile. "I do have a job." "Oh yeah," he said, raising an eyebrow. "That mysterious laptop thing you never explain?" He bit into the cookie. "Mom, these are amazing." Jennifer stepped forward, gently guiding the kids toward the snacks. "Sarah," she said politely, "I noticed your LinkedIn hasn't been updated in years. That's not great if you're job hunting." "I'm not job hunting," I repeated. "She's being stubborn," Mom added quickly. "It's been 3 years now," she continued. "Working from home, no clear income, no explanation." I stayed quiet. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I had said it all before. 3 years ago, I had tried to explain everything. Back when I left my job as a senior software engineer. Back when I took the biggest risk of my life. I had told them about the company, about the technology, about the idea that could change healthcare. But they didn't hear me. They smiled politely, then suggested I find something more stable. Something real. So eventually, I stopped explaining. "Sarah could work at my clinic," Michael said suddenly, leaning back on the couch. "I need someone at the front desk." He shrugged. "It's not glamorous, but it's stable. Good benefits, too." "That's kind of you," I replied calmly. "But I'm fine." "Fine," Dad repeated. He looked at me for a long moment. "From where we're standing, it doesn't look like fine." The words weren't loud, but they hit harder than anything else. "You're almost 30, he continued. "No stable career. No long-term plan. Still living in that small apartment." I didn't correct him. I didn't mention that the small apartment was a 2-bedroom loft fully paid. I didn't mention the price. I didn't mention anything. Because none of it would matter. Dinner was announced soon after. The table was already set, perfect, as always. Fine china. Candles. Everything in place. I helped quietly, placing forks and knives while the conversation flowed around me. Michael's success. Jennifer's promotion. The kids' achievements. Everyone had something to celebrate. Everyone except me. "So, Sarah," my aunt asked as we sat down, "what are you doing these days?" "She's between opportunities," Mom answered quickly. "I'm not. The job market is tough," my aunt added sympathetically. "But something will come along." I looked down at my plate. The turkey. The mashed potatoes. Everything looked perfect. But I had no appetite. "To better opportunities in the new year," Michael said, raising his glass. Everyone followed. I didn't. I just sat there, quietly. After dinner, we moved back to the living room. The TV played softly in the background. Mom began handing out gifts. "Sarah, this is for you." I took the box and unwrapped it slowly. Inside was a leather portfolio. A notebook. A pen. A card holder. Something you'd take to job interviews. "For when you start applying properly," Mom said gently. I nodded. "Thank you." Then Dad reached behind the couch and handed me an envelope. "We thought this might help," he said. I opened it. A check. $5,000. For rent, groceries, whatever you need, Mom added softly. And please, Dad said, start looking for something stable in January. I stared at the check for a moment, then carefully placed it back in the envelope. I appreciate it, I said quietly. But I don't need it. Dad frowned slightly. Pride won't pay your bills. This isn't pride, I replied. It's the truth. Before anyone could respond, the TV volume suddenly increased. A breaking news alert flashed across the screen, and everything was about to change. The room fell quiet, not because anyone asked for silence, but because something about the tone on the TV felt different. Breaking news this Christmas evening. The anchor's voice was sharp, urgent. My nephew still held the remote frozen. Turn it down, Jennifer whispered. But no one moved. On the screen, bold red letters appeared. Breaking news. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Once. Then again. I didn't check it. We're interrupting holiday programming for a major technology story. My heartbeat slowed, then quickened. Something felt off. Very off. The identity of a secretive tech founder has finally been revealed. My fingers tightened slightly. Another buzz. This time I pulled my phone out. A message from Lisa, my co-founder. I'm so sorry. It leaked early. My stomach dropped. For 3 years, this company has operated under complete anonymity. The anchor continued speaking, but her voice felt distant now. Muted, like I was underwater. Dataflow Solutions, one of the fastest-growing healthcare technology companies. Michael leaned forward. Wait, I've heard of that company. Of course he had. Everyone had. Just not like this. Has secured hundreds of millions in funding. My phone kept vibrating. Messages flooding in. Calls. Notifications. I didn't need to read them. I already knew. It was happening. Now. Used by hundreds of hospitals nationwide. Mom reached for the remote. Let's watch something else. Wait, Michael said sharply. Something in his voice had changed. Focus. Confusion. Credited with saving thousands of lives. The room felt smaller. Tighter. The founder, who has remained completely anonymous. A pause. A breath. And then, has now been identified as 29-year-old Sarah Mitchell. Silence. Complete silence. No one moved. No one spoke. On the screen, my face appeared. Not a casual photo. Not a selfie. But the professional one. The one meant for a future announcement. A future that wasn't supposed to be today. That's... My aunt's voice trembled. That's Sarah. Dad's glass slipped from his hand. It hit the floor. Red wine spilled across the carpet. No one reacted. No one even looked down. Mitchell owns a majority stake in the company. The anchor continued, with a current valuation placing her net worth at approximately $1.4 billion. Mom shook her head slowly. No, that's not. She couldn't finish. Michael grabbed his phone, typing rapidly. It's everywhere, he said. Bloomberg, Forbes, Wall Street Journal. His voice cracked slightly. This is real. I finally spoke. Calm. Quiet. It's true. All eyes snapped toward me. But, you said you worked in tech, Michael stammered. I do. You didn't say you owned a billion-dollar company. I tried to explain, I said simply. No one listened. The TV continued in the background. A graduate of MIT. Former Microsoft engineer. Revolutionizing healthcare. Words I had said before. Many times. But now, they sounded different. Now they were real to them. A hospital appeared on screen. A doctor speaking. Since implementing this system, we've reduced mortality rates significantly. Jennifer covered her mouth. Oh my God! This technology is saving lives every day. Mom stepped back slowly, as if she needed support to stand. You built this, she whispered. With a team, I said. But yes. Michael laughed once. A short, disbelieving sound. You turned down $900 million? I nodded. It wasn't the right deal. Not the right. He stopped himself. Ran a hand through his hair. I've been working 12 years to build something worth $2 million. His voice dropped. You said no to $900 million. It wasn't about the money. Then what was it about? I looked at him. Control. Purpose. Impact. He stared at me, like he was seeing me for the first time. Jennifer glanced at her phone again. This says your system reduced ICU deaths by 23%. She looked up. Do you understand what that means? Yes. It means hundreds of people are alive because of you. Because of the work, I corrected gently. But no one was really listening anymore. They were still trying to process. still trying to catch up to a reality that had already existed for 3 years. Mom turned away, covering her face. I called it a phase. Her voice broke. I told everyone you were struggling. I know. I gave you a portfolio for job interviews. I know, Mom. Her shoulders shook. I didn't believe you. That one landed. I didn't respond. Because there was nothing left to say. The TV kept going. More praise. More analysis. More recognition. Everything they had ignored, now being validated by strangers. Dad finally spoke again. Quiet. Heavy. We tried to give you money. I looked at the envelope on the table. Yes. We thought you couldn't pay rent. I know. Michael was still scrolling. There are articles about your apartment, your company, everything. He looked up. You sent this to us? I did. When? Months ago. He froze. Then looked down again. I probably deleted it. He muttered. I thought it was spam. Yeah, I said softly. I figured. Phones started ringing around the room. One after another. Everyone being pulled into the same realization. Too late. Mom looked at me again. Eyes red. Voice shaking. Why didn't you make us understand? I met her gaze. I tried. No, why didn't you force us to listen? I paused. Then answered honestly. Because I shouldn't have to. Silence again. Thicker this time. Heavier. You needed me to fail, I continued quietly. It was easier that way. That's not true, Michael said quickly. But his voice lacked certainty. Isn't it? I asked. No one answered. And that was the answer. The room felt different now. Same people. Same house. Same Christmas night. But everything had changed. Completely. No one spoke for a while. The TV kept running in the background, voices talking about success, innovation, billions. But inside the room, there was only silence. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. Dad finally picked up the envelope again. The one with the check. He stared at it, like it didn't belong to this reality anymore. We tried to give you $5,000. His voice was low. Almost ashamed. I didn't say anything. Because there was nothing to add. Michael sat down slowly, still holding his phone. I've been reading everything, he said quietly. Articles, interviews, reports. He looked up at me. You built all this in 3 years? Yes. From your apartment? Yes. He let out a long breath. That's insane. It was necessary, I replied. Jennifer stepped closer, her expression softer now. Why didn't you tell us properly? She asked. I did, I said calmly. Many times. But we didn't understand. I know. That's not the same thing, she said gently. It is, I replied. If someone doesn't want to understand, they won't. Mom slowly walked back into the room. Her eyes were still wet. Her voice fragile. I failed you. I looked at her. She wasn't angry anymore. She wasn't judging. She was broken. You didn't fail me, I said. You just didn't trust me. That hurt more. Because it was true. I should have believed in you, she whispered. Yes. I didn't soften it. I didn't hide it. Because this moment, it needed honesty. Raw, uncomfortable honesty. Dad nodded slowly. We kept trying to fit you into our idea of success, he said. And when you didn't fit, we assumed you were lost. I wasn't lost, I said. I was building something. And we couldn't see it, he added. Because we weren't looking. Exactly. Michael stood up again. This time not confident. Not proud. Just human. I'm sorry, he said. For everything I said, all the jokes, the assumptions. He hesitated. I thought I was better than you. I looked at him. You weren't better, I said. You were just understood. That hit him harder than anything else. Jennifer crossed her arms slightly, thinking. You know what's crazy, she said. I work in marketing. I understand visibility, branding, attention. She shook her head. And you built all of this without any of it. I didn't want attention, I said. I wanted impact. And now, she asked. I glanced at my phone. Still buzzing. Still ringing. Now I don't have a choice. Right on cue, the doorbell rang. Everyone froze. Again. Dad slowly looked toward the door. Who could that be? I checked my phone. Security camera. I sighed. Neighbors. Mom closed her eyes. It's starting. The doorbell rang again. More impatient this time. Dad opened the door. Cold air rushed in, along with excited voices. We saw the news. Is it true? We just wanted to say congratulations. I stayed where I was. Smiling politely. Answering nothing. But it didn't stop there. More knocks. More people. More curiosity. More attention. Within minutes, the house felt crowded. Not with family, but with strangers who suddenly cared. Michael leaned toward me slightly. This is going to get out of control. It already has, I replied. Another knock. Another group. Phone's out. Camera's ready. Can we get a picture? Just one. I forced a small smile. This was the price. The price of being seen, after years of being invisible. After an hour. I had enough. I need to go, I said. Mom looked shocked. Go. It's Christmas. It stopped being Christmas a while ago. No one argued. Because everyone knew. I was right. I grabbed my coat. The room went quiet again. But this time, it wasn't tension. It was something else. Respect. Real respect. Before you go. Mom stepped forward. Her voice shaking again. I love you. I looked at her. I know. I'm proud of you. I nodded slowly. Thank you. She hesitated. Will you forgive me? I paused. Took a breath. Then answered honestly. Not yet. Her eyes filled again. But I will someday. That was enough. It had to be. I hugged her. Then Dad. Then Michael. Then Jennifer. Even the kids. Simple moments. Real moments. Finally. I walked to the door. Opened it. And stepped outside. Flash. 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 Cameras everywhere. Sarah. Over here. How does it feel to be revealed? What's next for your company? I didn't answer. Not a single word. I got into my car. Closed the door. Silence. For the first time in hours. I started the engine. And drove away. In the rearview mirror. I could see them. My family. Standing by the window. Watching. Not confused anymore. Not judgmental. Just quiet. I picked up my phone. A message from Mom. I'm sorry. I love you. I smiled slightly. Typed back. I know. Love you too. Another message. Michael. You turned down 900 million. That's crazy. A pause. Then another text. But also kind of legendary. I laughed softly. For the first time that night. The road ahead was empty. Dark. Peaceful. But everything had changed. My life was no longer private. No longer quiet. No longer hidden. But one thing stayed the same. The mission. The purpose. The reason I started all of this. Saving lives. Not proving people wrong. Not chasing money. Just doing something that mattered. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough.